Hello and welcome to the 2011-2012 Ferris State Men's Basketball Preview on the Bulldog Sports Network. Joining me now is head coach Bill Saul. Rob Bentley with you as the host. And Coach Saul, first, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rob.
Your team coming off a GLIAC North Division Championship a season ago, a trip to the NCAA Division II Sweet 16. As you look back now, how memorable was that season a year ago?
It was a great year. It was a lot of fun to see the seniors that we had really come through the program and have really great years, but also be great leaders. And I think the most memorable for us will be just not only some big wins, but just how well that team really came together.
As you look towards the 2011-2012 season now with practice underway, your first task, a daunting one to try to replace those four seniors, led by the Division II Player of the Year and Justin Keenan. How do you go about that task of replacing those guys?
I don't know if it's so much about going about the task of replacing them as trying to find some new pieces. You know, the puzzle board now is a little empty, and we do have some really good pieces that are coming back as well as some new players. And so now it's more kind of as a coach to try to mold those into a team that can work together.
You mentioned some of those returning players coming back that gained some valuable experience down the stretch last year and in the NCAA tournament. Who are some of those key players that you're expecting big contributions from?
Well, first off, it starts with the point guard, and Dante Molden has really had a tremendous career here. He's a quarterback, a leader. He started pretty much every game last year and throughout his whole career, so we're really looking for him to really do some big things. Danny Sutherland had a great run in the NCAA tournament as well as really at the end of the year. And again, we're going to look for him to make some production and really come up big. And then Kenny Brown, who was actually an all-tournament on the all-tournament team in the NCAA tournament. Had a great run there, and hopefully some of that confidence comes back as he starts now his junior year here.
I know you returned as well, Jarrell Sanders, a player that you were expecting big contributions from a year ago, unfortunately was injured. Having him back, does that help offset the loss of some of those seniors?
It certainly does. I think from two ways. First off, him healthy, and he had a long struggle, obviously, with a major knee injury, but he's really back to close to 100% now. Gives us a big boost from the athleticism standpoint, and being a senior, we were looking for him to step up and be a leader as well.
You've got a good group of incoming players coming in, some of them highly recruited. Talk about some of those incoming players and who you expect could see some action.
You know, it's a good question. We have 8 freshmen, so it's a big number. We have some highly acclaimed players. Tyron Wade at Lansing Sexton had a tremendous senior year. Jared Stoliker had a great year. Dietrich Lieber at Plymouth Canton, just to name a few. But really, at this point, we're trying to figure out not only names, but who's going to play and how is it going to work. So I think through the process of practice, we're really going to figure out, hey, we feel these guys are ready. Maybe a few of these other ones will possibly redshirt.
Your team gets off to a difficult start, an exhibition game at Michigan State at the end of October, first 2 regular season games at Michigan and at Central Michigan. Talk about those 3 games in particular and how that's going to help your team get some experience.
Well, it's a tremendous opportunity, and we certainly thank all 3 of those institutions for helping us out and giving us a chance to be on the big stage. It's always a great, not only for our players to have that opportunity to go play in those venues, but also as a recruiting tool. It really gets Ferris State basketball mentioned. You know, as we go into those games, we're looking to get better. That's our biggest thing. You know, how can we measure ourselves against those best teams, you know, possibly 2 top 25 teams in the preseason rankings, and really get ourselves better as a team. So as we now get into the January, February time, we're really ready to roll.
In addition to the Michigan State exhibition game, you've got a couple exhibitions against Calvin and Grace Bible. How important are those exhibition games for a team that's young?
I think the more we can get them on the floor, the better. And I think that's why we tried to find some exhibition games and some really quality opponents. You know, Calvin has great tradition, and then Grace has won a few national championships in their own right here in the last couple of years. So I think that's just going to help us mold us to where we want to go.
Obviously, one of the keys for you is having a veteran coaching staff coming back. Talk about your coaching staff and how those guys help your program.
Well, I think we have one of the best coaching staffs in Division II, the amount of experience, etc. This year, actually, Andy Broncoman is still back as the top assistant, but we also are bringing back Ed Dalma, Bill Killian, and then Jim Lake, who was a high school coach here in Chip Hills. So the experience that we have, the dedication they have to basketball is outstanding.
Bulldogs get off at the end of October with Michigan State. As you head into that matchup, what do you see as some of the strengths of your team?
Well, I think we have some very good athleticism. You know, I think we have the ability to be one of the quicker teams in the conference. You know, big things that we have to work on, obviously, is find a couple of go-to guys, you know, losing Justin Keenan and Darian Gay. They were very consistent with their scoring. So to step that up, and then also rebounding is going to be a big issue. You know, can we get everybody committed to going on the defense and offensive end and rebounding?
I know it was extremely exciting a year ago for your team to win a conference championship, to reach the Division II Sweet 16. What are some of the things that have to happen for your team to get back to contend for a league championship again?
Well, I think that continuing of believing in each other, and really this year probably more so than any year previous, really understanding that team concept of really getting it done. I think we have a group of guys that you know, that's their goal, that's what they want to see. But we really have to make sure, more importantly, that when we get to that January, February mark, that we're playing really good basketball and the best basketball of the year.
Coach, thanks for being with us here today, and best of luck in the 2011-2012 season.
My pleasure, Rob.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ferris State Basketball Preview on the Bulldog Sports Network.